Greetings in the name of Yahuwah and his son Yahusha Mashiach. My name is Malak Shalomo. Today is the 21st of July 2024. It's 9:33 p.m. I'm going to do a little Sunday evening technical analysis on ES. So let's get started here on the daily chart. Maybe let's go up to the weekly. Or let's just go straight up to the monthly and see what's up. All right. All right, so looking at the monthly here, this is how I see it, right? Let me just adjust some stuff here that's too big. And we'll stick with the white for now. All right, so we had this pullback here. Let's see. Pushed up a little bit, nice little pullback. And we had this bullish run, right? So now that we're getting this big wick here on the monthly, I'm just thinking that King Bear is taking profits, right? I'm not thinking like we're gonna do any major reversal. It's just basically we could even retest this level here at 53.7925, just for good measure to pick up more buyers to go up, right? So let's see here. As you can see, we're on. The volume isn't that crazy. It's not that great. We have major selling, but not much volume. It's still the 21st, so we could still get up to these levels here by the end of the month. So it should be in correlation with the other month's volume, but these months' candle are much bigger. So if we could get like a retracement back down to this level, it will probably match these candles here, right? So let's go down to the weekly. Let's see what the weekly is looking like. So that weekly is a nice little engulfing candle, reversal candle from the previous week. Nice selling there, heavy volume. So we could definitely make a pullback here, but I'll show you on the daily chart where I think we're going to come back to. So we could probably stop around here at 54.9925 on the weekly. We could stop right now as well, but I'm going to go down to the weekly chart, just looking at the volume on the weekly right there, go down to the daily chart, and let's take a look here. So this is what I see, right? I call him King Bear. He's just a big bull that takes profit sometimes, right? So he took profit on this day. You see this wick right here, took profit on that day. Took profit again, so he's selling into the buyers, right? Buyers are trying to take it up, but he's selling into them, and eventually his orders get too heavy for the book, and the buyers can't sustain anymore, and they're getting their stops run while he's taking profit, right? So they're trying to absorb his liquidation of his assets. That's how I look at these players. Like this is multiple players to me. This is one big player doing his thing, and when he does his thing, you can see it in the market, right? So right now he's selling. He's taking profit at the highs of 57.2125 and thereabouts, and just keep on selling into the buyers, because you could tell by the psychology of how traders move. On this breakout of the high right there, everybody's buying to catch the move, right? So this is the perfect opportunity for King Bear to start selling into the buyers, because there's a lot of liquidity up here for him to sell into. People are FOMOing to get into the move, the breakouts, and he's selling to them. So that's why you get the correction. That's just my humble opinion, not financial advice or anything like that. So now that we're done with the clean chart, I'm going to just go to my messy chart here and explain some of these things I have on here. So let's start with the market profile, right? So the market profile value area high for the previous month is 55.88, right? So we broke out of that level, got all the way up here, and then we came back down. So we're back in value of the previous month, right? So from this level, we could actually get to the POC, the monthly POC, which is at 55.35, right? That blue line right there. And let me just open this up a little bit. Right, you could also see here, well, it's kind of blocked by the MPOC, so let me just do this real quick. Right, so that's the quarterly VPOC right there. Volume pointer control for the quarterly, right? So that's the volume profile. That's the VPOC for the quarter. So that's at 55.37.75. So buyers will definitely be around this area here, right? Because that's like the quarterly move, all this bullish move from the previous 3 months. That's the VPOC right there. So we basically coming down here to buy and support. You see how much transactions went on between this level here before we broke out. So this is a VPOC level and the monthly POC. So basically the center of the market right here. So I'm expecting some kind of reversal at this point here. So this could be a nice bounce off of this level here of 55.35, 55.37. Right, so if we do lose that level though, if we do lose that level, we're gonna get down here to, let me just open this up. The value area low for the month is 54.32. So we're exposed to going through previous month's value and getting all the way down to the value area low if we lose this monthly POC level, right? So value area low again, 54.32. There's a lot of levels that may cause may give some support, like this monthly floor pivot, central pivot at 54.73, and this TC level at 54.97.75. So when we opened in this month, we didn't touch these levels at all, and these levels here, these CPRs, central pivot ranges, are usually like magnets for price. So if price is pulling back, if we do get through this heavy volume area and the POC, we could definitely start touching some of these levels here, like central pivot 54.73.25, top central pivot at 54.97.75. So that's before we get to, hold on. And that's going to be before we get to monthly Camarilla S3 at 54.45.50. Right, so that's that line right there, 54.45.50. It's also coupled with monthly pivot, bottom central pivot, which is at 54.50. So that's what I call this silver top monthly zone for support. So this could be a support area. This is also on the market profile a single print, right? So this could be also filled with this bullish move that happened here. We got a single print here, so we could possibly come back to this level here, which is also a second quarter low volume node, right? So let me just throw on the volume and see if that's still a low volume node. Right, so it actually moved down a little bit. So you see that right there. That's the low volume node. There's also another low volume node. So let me just copy this, paste. Right, so we have another low volume node right here. So if price wants to cut through these levels, they could probably cut through really easily, because this area here between 54.70.75 and 54.55 is low volume nodes, right? So you can see that purple going across there. That's the low volume node. Let me just take this back out. So you can see that's the VPOC right there. This is where I just label it. I don't have it on my chart all the time. And this high volume node here is at 53.64.50, but that's a long way away. So not really going to talk about that. We're talking about these immediate support areas. And let me just take these off here. And actually this was, let's see, this one here was a longer time frame, so I don't need to put this one on. This is the only one that's actually on this quarterly time frame. All right, so that's good enough. That's going back 3 months right there, so that's good enough. All right, let me take off this here. Don't want to get anybody too confused with all these levels I have here. So still got some more stuff to throw on and show you. So let me just, well, actually I did cover all of these pivot levels, central pivots and all those. So I don't need to really put them on the chart right now. I already have these lines for like my other 15-minute and 1 hour and 5-minute charts. So all these levels show up on those charts. So this is basically what I'm looking at here. I'm looking for a bounce around the POC area and the volume point of control on the daily, right? You can see we have a lot of volume there. So we could run into some buying support. And King Bear should want to take it down here where he would get absorbed, right? So all of his orders, his sell orders would actually transact around this area here, right? So going down to the weekly, I mean my 1 hour chart has weekly levels on it. So let's just look at this here. Right, so this was the beginning of the session here last week. Had that sell off on Tuesday, sell off on Tuesday. Wait, hold on. I have these alerts going off in my AFM bookmap, my bad. Right, so Monday we had this sideways movement, a little push up. On Tuesday we fell. Into Wednesday we fell. Then Thursday we fell again. And Friday we ended on the lows, right? So opening now, let's see, we're going to start off with the market profile. Right, so you can see last week's market profile here is where I get my levels. This is the value area high at 57.2275, right? And this is the POC. That's at 56.9150. And then we have the weekly value area low, which is at 56.05, right? So that's the value area low right there. Let's just take this off. I'm gonna wait, hold on. Oh, that wasn't good. Right, so let me just expand the profile a little bit so you can see this is the value area low here, right? 56.05. And we have a single print here around 56.2150, right? So this was a single print right there. So I just outlined that as it comes across. I just have that there just for reference, right? And we have the POC up here, 56.9150, value area high again, 57.2275, right? So we had a nice little sell-off here. You can see most of the volume was up here. So I think this is where King Bear was actually maneuvering most of his sell orders. People were trying to buy at the open of the session, the open of the week, trying to get that bullish breakout, and he just sold into them, right? So let me just take that off real quick so you could see. And you can see where he's doing this. You can see where we struggle, right? And he actually started over here as well, right? So every time we struggle and we get that breakdown, this is where I see him taking action, right? He actually took action in the ETH here and brought us straight into a trend day, right? And also on the Friday. So he's taking profit now, and I think, as like I said on the daily chart, he's gonna probably get absorbed or take his foot off the gas somewhere around here, which is close by. So you actually see here on the previous session, what's happening here, the opposite is happening, is some absorption, right? So these guys are front running, buying right there, right? So they're absorbing price. You see, we had this push up here into the ETH open, but still there is selling pressure in the market because I think King Bear is trying to get down to this VPOC level here on the quarterly VPOC. So let's see, let's throw on the pivots. Right, so these weekly pivots here, we have the central pivot at 56.0575, and that's correlating with the weekly value area low, right? So we have that kind of double pivot right there. So we could possibly get a retest of this level here. This could be something like a bullish target when we actually maybe catch a reversal here. We could try and get back into value, right? Because now we're outside of value. We're below the value area low, so we're outside of value of the previous week. So if we get a reversal, first business of the bulls is get back into last week's value and then take it from there. So this is also the central pivot which attracts price. So this one here is the top central, which is flipped by the calculation this week. So sometimes this one is on top, but it's always called the top central, even though it's below. So it's at 55.79.75, and bottom central is at 56.31.75. And I believe they're in a lower value relationship, meaning that if we test these and we get rejection, you could expect another sell-off, right? So we're opening below this, which is bearish, right? So usually I type that in. Let's see if I could do that real quick. All right, so I usually label these to just keep a reminder on the chart. Label it red because it's bearish. Right, so I just keep that there on the chart just to remind me we're in a bearish environment. So anything below this here is bearish, right? I have my weekly midpoint, but that's gonna develop. So it's right now it's at 55.74.75. So that's gonna develop during the week. And previous week's low is at 55.42. So it's looking like we're getting this nice little reversal here again. And probably on the 5-minute chart on the daily levels, we'll see what it's actually bouncing off of or rejecting off of, right? So, and it's basically like a retest of this breakdown level right here. Right, so we got that breakdown level right there, and it's basically retesting that for further selling. So it's looking like we're gonna get to that that VPOC level, quarterly VPOC, probably tonight. And let's see, so we have the central pivots here, usually a magnet, so that could be a target for some bullish activity. We have S1 here, 54.97.25. And if we continue bearish, that's one of the first bearish targets bears try to go after. You know, this is S1, R1 is the bullish target, S1 is the bearish target. So that's at 54.97.25. I also have a Virgin value area low of volume profile. This is a Virgin low here from the 17th, right, of June. So maybe that could also be a target where we could come down and, you know, fill these voids, right? Because this was never tested from the time it was created. So I labeled that there just as a reminder. And this is why I have a lot of things on my chart, because I operate and look at the market from a lot of different views, right? So even though I might take a 5-minute chart trade with like a, let's say it's a first upper deviation rejection, right? When I'm looking at what I could come down to, it'll be this quarterly VPOC, this monthly POC. Then we're going to look for, if we're getting like a trendy, we're going to look for S1 on the weekly. And this is going to correlate sometimes with what you see on the daily chart, but we'll get to the daily chart. But on the bigger time frame, when you're moving with bigger players who's moving the market, they will operate on these weekly levels, not these daily levels too much, right? So that's why I have all of these on my chart, because I think of the market in different capacities, because different traders trade different stuff. Some people trade volume profile, some people trade market profile, some people trade VWAP. So I kind of have all of these things calculating in my mind at the same time. So just to, not that I use them for like in my immediate strategy, but I use them for targets or places where it could obstruct my trade, right? Because I know that players are going to come in there. But anyway, let's go on here now. Let's throw on the Camarillas. And I want to open this here to show what kind of setup it's in. And I know this could get like a little confusing when you start seeing all these lines and stuff, but just bear with me, because this is how I kind of dissect the market, right? So we have Camarilla R3, which was up here before. It has moved down, and we're now at 55.88. Right, so let me just open this up. Am I bad? That was wrong right there. So we're now at 56.0304. And you can see there both the central pivot and the Camarilla R3 are now in close proximity. So this is why I call this a golden top zone, right? So this is like a golden pivot zone. This is a place for a possible retest and rejection, right? Because it's in a resistance mode, being that Camarilla R3 is moving down into what is it? Yeah, it's a lower value relationship. So we're looking for a retest here and a sell, right? If we get a break above this level here, then we're attacking this single print and we could break out, because the thesis here is saying that we're supposed to remain bearish. If the bulls take it above this level, then we could look for like a rejection of the thesis, which sometimes ends up in a trend day, right? So golden pivot zone around 56.05, 56.03, and we're looking for shorts around this area. So I usually write that as well. And this video might go on a little long, but I'm gonna just break down my technicals anyway. Who sticks around wants to know, so I'll do it for them. So let's see. All right, so I just write a little note there, possible short zone, and that's it. I'm saying this is also correlating with the value area low, right? So that's a possible retest. Can't get back into last week's value, get the rejection here, and then we sell off. So that's a possible target for a short trade, right? Or to close a long trade. Right, so we have Camarilla S3 down here. This is the weekly, of course, 55.0446. See that right there. And then I already pointed out floor pivot S1. So when you look at this again, this is in close proximity, but I'm not gonna draw a range or like a rectangle around it like this golden pivot zone. It's not as close. I can still do it though, but you know what? Let me do it for good measure. It's also in line with the monthly pivot TC. So this one here, I just call a copper top zone. So this is going to be support. right? Have the copper borders and the green inside, just to signify visually that if I'm taking a short, possible buy area. Let me just see. Let me just put that. Right, signify it in green, label it in green. So, right, so all around this area here, possible support, right? So if I'm taking a short, like I get that first upper deviation on the VWAP rejection somewhere, let's say somewhere around here at monthly value area high, or even if it comes up here, we get the short here. That would be kind of far. But let's say we get the short here from the monthly value area high, right? And it's trending. This is definitely a spot here at Camarillo S3 to start taking profit 55.05, right? So even at this level here, the quarterly VPOC and the monthly POC, if I'm short from this level, let me use the arrows, monthly value area high, take a short there. I'm looking to target this level here at 55.3775. So that'll be 55.88 to 55.3775. So it just gives me like a range of where to target, you know. And let's see what else we got. Let's just throw on the VWAPs. All right, so these VWAPs are anchored from the previous week, the beginning of the session, the ETH Sunday. So as the week progresses, I usually move them one day ahead. So I always have like a week of volume for them to work with, right? So right now this is a kind of setup for me, which I call the bowling green, right? So if we get, so this is second lower deviation, this is first lower deviation. Usually I look for some back and forth during this period here between first and second lower deviation, and on the breakout of first lower deviation, I take the long right there, because what I'm looking at is the build up here between these levels as the cause for the breakout, right? So that'll be support buying, no more selling, absorb all the selling, and then we get the breakout here of the first lower deviation. Now with this breakout here, we're gonna run directly into this resistance area. So that would be something I have to consider if I want to go long. I'm not really too keen on going long here on this bowling green strategy because the immediate resistance is right there. So what I would prefer is to look for a false breakout here to get the short, right? Back down to probably this area, and you see how second lower deviation is going to probably line up with this area here. So I can look for the rejection here, take this back down here. And let's see what we got. That's it. Oh, we got the weekly volume pointer control. Volume profile. And again, we have some single prints here. I think I also labeled these. I'm not going to do it right now. But we got some single prints and some low volume nodes at 56, 1675, and one here at the bottom central pivot at 56, 3175. So this whole little area right here is a low volume area. So that could mean that if we do get this break above, like if this bowling green strategy works and we get this breakout here, we can get through this level here because it's low volume, right? If we don't get the resistance from this golden pivot zone, R3 and the pivot, central pivot, and we start breaking out of this lower value thesis, we could get a strong move back up to like this bottom central 56.3175, because this whole little area here is a low volume area, single print on the market profile and low volume nodes kind of capping that as well, bordering the low volume area on the market profile. So let me take this off here. I know it's a lot on the chart, but I hope I'm breaking it down enough to justify why it's there. So you can see certain levels, right? This is VPOC right here. That's weekly VPOC 5639. So if I'm taking a long on this breakout here, or I wait for the breakout of Camarilla R3 and the central pivot, I could take it up to here, right? Which will be in line with these the low volume areas I showed you, the single print, and we could get up to here to see what we have up here. Do we have sellers or do we have buyers at VWAP? Because that's going to be the volume weighted average price. So let's see what we have at this area here. Right above it is Camarilla R4, which is a resistance zone, and this is monthly floor pivot R1 as well. So we already got that on the bullish move, which was the bullish target for the month, and now we're retracing, right? So it didn't hold as resistance before, but now that we have all the selling, if we do get like short stops being cleared and King Bear taking his foot off the gas, this could be a possible rejection zone because it's in line with this lower values Camarilla R4. So we could have sellers waiting here for buyers who buy at VWAP just to sell into them, which is going to be King Bear. He's just going to wait till they get above VWAP and just let them absorb the pressure he's going to put on them at these levels. Also monthly Camarilla R4. So all of these levels here is where he could apply pressure. This is going to be first upper deviation, the weekly. So all of these places is where pressure could start being applied after we get like a short squeeze. All right, I think that's it for the weekly levels. Let's go down here to where we're going to get some daily levels now. And let's see how they line up with right, so we have the market profile value area high and the weekly value area low is in the same area, right? This is also the golden pivot zone I was showing you on the 1 hour chart just now. So we have the POC for the daily, which is the 5-minute chart. I'm referring to that. Well, let me just say it correctly. These are daily levels on the 5-minute chart, right? So that's the daily value area high. This is the weekly value area low, and this is the daily POC. So all of this is in line here, causing a resistance, a heavy resistance zone. And again, there's different players looking at different stuff. Some people looking at the weekly value area lows, highs, and the market profile I'm talking about. And some people are gonna look at, let's actually see here. Let me just go back to this so you can see what's here. Right, like I showed you before, this is a golden pivot zone with weekly Camarilla R3 and the central pivot, right? So now that's lined up with these daily levels here. So all of these levels here, still short zone, right? Possible short zone because a lot of resistance could happen in this level because we have market profile value area high, which is in a lower value, overlapping lower value relationship. So we could look to get some rejection over here. So let's throw on the central, let's throw on this. My bad, I got these alerts going off here. Let's throw on the pivot levels, the central pivots, and let's see where they are. So let's open this up. Right, so this is the ETH opening here. We have the bottom central at 55.74.75 right there, green line. That's also overnight high right there. Mark that as well. This is the central pivot at 55.67.75. right there. And we have top central at 55, 60, 75, right? So that's the central pivot range. You see, we went back and forth, went up to test just below bottom central, came back down here, had a little bounce at the central pivot, and we lost it, right? Came back down, broke out of the central pivot, and now we're down here somewhere around yesterday's close. So what we're looking at here, this central pivot range is in a lower value relationship as well. So opening, let's see, we opened here. Let's see where we actually opened. Let me make sure. So the open was 55, 64, 50. Right, so right there, 55, 64, 50. That's the open. So we open within a bearish central pivot range. So that's acknowledging the bearish environment. If we had opened above this, then we're rejecting the bearish thesis of the central pivot range, but we didn't do that. We opened within the range, tested the top of the range, came back down to the central, couldn't push above, rejected again, and now we're outside of a central pivot range. Now this candle here could come back, retest this level, and start selling again, right? So that would be a rejection of the central pivot range, and that would cause us to seek lower value, which would be possibly floor pivot S1. So let's see where that's at. And we have floor pivot S1 here at 55, 25, 75, right? So if I was a ETH trader, I would now look for something around here as a rejection, retest, breakdown of this CPR. I'm sure you guys can hear that motorcycle out there, so I had to pause for a second, you know, I mean, I didn't expect that. So all of this here is another target, as I was saying, a quarterly VPOC. This could create some support here. This is yesterday's VPOC, right? You can see there is a lot of transactions right there in the evening. This is where I think some of the selling was getting absorbed last week, Friday. So created the VPOC right there. As you can see, we're not retesting the top central pivot. We're just getting immediate selling, almost covering this candle, right? So if they choose to sell, targets are yesterday's low, quarterly VPOC, yesterday's VPOC, and ultimately to get to this level, floor pivot S1, which is the first bearish target in this kind of in these setups where we're bearish. This is the first bearish target. If it continues getting bearish, that's the second bearish target, S2, right? And S3, that's down here in the copper support zone, right? So this is heavy support areas. So the sellers have to be persistent to get through these levels, right? So if you're taking a short, I'm mindful of where I want to exit. So this would be like my perfect exit right here at 55, 25, 75 if I short anywhere around here. Or even if I get like a breakdown retest, let me see how much points is. And that's like a cool little 9 points, almost 10 points, right? So if you get something like a rejection up here at the POC or even a quarterly VPOC, and you get an entry up here, you see the exhaustion up here, take this down to S1, that's 1150, right? So these are the kind of trades I'm talking about, like on a day-to-day, intraday time frame, you know. Still using these bigger time frames as levels and just operating in between these levels here, right? So we could operate between these levels. We could operate between these levels. We could operate between this level here, and then further through these central pivot ranges. But it all depends on what kind of setup you're using, you know. Right now I'm just trying to use VWAP with these levels to get my reversals and rejections. So let's see here. Now I'm gonna throw on the daily Camarilleas. Right, so we see some more stuff coming out here as to why we're getting this rejection here. So Camarilla R3 is in a lower value relationship, overlapping lower value, because this is Camarilla S3, so it hasn't gone down below that level, right? So it's an overlapping lower value, and you can see price interacting with it right here. Came down, tested the central pivot, dipped a little bit, came back right to it. And then we broke down the central pivot range. So this is holding the bearish thesis intact, right? So we're getting the rejection right off of this level here, which is a rejection level, a resistance level at 5571.8 Camarilla R3. So that's looking good here. This is it's looking very bearish. Let's say that. And let's see where Camarilla S3 is. Now look at that, right? Camarilla S3, which is supposed to be the support, is down here at the market profile, the monthly market profile POC, and the quarterly VPOC. So this area here is holding more significance for me as well. This could be a reversal area, right? And with that said, let me just throw on now my VWAPs. First, second, and third lower deviation, right? So now, if we keep selling, these bands are gonna come down here, and most likely this one is gonna end up somewhere around here. But I'll have to see when price action moves it to see where it would end up. Now, if we're in the RTH, and we have this first upper deviation and this second lower deviation, no, first lower deviation and second lower deviation somewhere around here within these levels, I'm taking that reversal for sure, right? So that's how my setups are. With these Camarilla S3 levels, this is a support level, the POC is support, quarterly is support. If this comes down here during the RTH, and let me just use the right color here. Right, so let's say we keep going down. And let's see here for this one. Right, so because I'm just trying to explain how I'm going to think about this, how my Bowling Green strategy works, right? So you can see this is Camarilla. Let me just put that as well. Right, so that's going to come across here. And I'm going to be looking for the reversal, the auction between this. Let me just use white. Right, so I'm going to be looking for the auction between this level. Stoppage of the short. And then take the breakout here of Camarilla S3 and that first lower deviation. Right, so we enter in short right there. And taking this all the way up now, let me see. At this point, if we break through or we start getting that reversal here, I'm not gonna wait till we get above this quarterly VPOC here to enter the trade, because I'll already be thinking about the accumulation happening here in the support area, or even if it happens above, right, somewhere above this area. Once it's around these VWAP levels, I'm taking that buy right there, and we're taking that buy back up to the first thing I'd be looking at is 55.60. Yesterday's VPOC could come into play as well at 55.49, but I don't think it might stop there. I think we might get straight back up to the central pivot range. So this is a possible play, right? So let me just put this here. All right, and that's just on the 5-minute chart, right? So let me see here. And usually I put it around the open time, right? So around here 9:30. That's where I want to remind myself when I see this little label right here. I could remind myself to look for this trade, because sometimes I go astray and I start thinking other stuff, because this is the best analysis I do, like on the night before, or when I get these levels on the previous session, from the previous session, like in the ETH, like right now. This is where I do like my best analysis. While the trade is happening, while price action is moving around, sometimes you get caught up in the price action and you forget about your trade that you actually, doctored by looking at all these levels and stuff. So sometimes I lose sight and I take the exact opposite trade. Like I might take a short here when I know there's buyers here from the previous technical analysis. So I try to remind myself by putting these labels here. Now, if we don't sell off, right? If we don't sell off and we get a bounce somewhere right here, yesterday's VPOC, and we start moving back up in the ETH session, the RTH session, right? So what I'm going to remind myself here is that we're still in a possible short here. Now, where do I have this possible short zone is on the higher time frame, right? The weekly levels, but on the daily levels now, this Camarilla artery and central pivot is a possible short area. Now, the reason I'm not going to label this here is because they're not really in that close of proximity right here. I could label this a golden pivot zone though, but they're 4 points apart. I need it to be a little tighter than that. So I might possibly take a short from, like, let's see, this is actually showing a setup right here. Right, so this is the opposite of the Bowling Green strategy, right? So this is the rejection. We have Camarilla R3, which is the pivot level I'm looking for. We're already getting rejection there twice, right? And a breakdown. This is also coupled with the second upper deviation and the first upper deviation creating that resistance. So if we come back up here in the RTH open, if this same play is still in play here, we could look for like another rejection right here, right, to take that back down to yesterday's VPOC. Right, so that's a possible short play right there. But we'd have to get like ETH bullishness into the RTH to get back up here. So let's say we do sell off to yesterday's low, 55.42, and we move in bullish into the RTH. I'm looking for a possible like a pop-up easily, like a quick pop in the morning as we open, because buyers are going to try to buy following that bullish trend off of yesterday's VPOC. They might get up to here, right? Let's say we're here in the RTH at the open. We might get a pop-up here to the second VWAP deviation, upper deviation, plus that's the bottom central, 55.74. And if we get up here and we start exhausting, I'm going to take the short right there, right? Because it's lining up with these levels. So second upper deviation short, or this Camarilla R3 level here, and first upper deviation short. So right in this area right here. And that's basically my setups that I'm looking at for tomorrow. So I know this could be kind of complicated, like looking at all this stuff on the chart, you know, giving people headaches and migraines, looking at all these lines and stuff, but it's really simple for me because that's I learned by reading. First I learned volume price analysis by Anna Cooling. Then I read Pivot Boss, where he break down all these camellias and floor pivot levels and central pivots and what they mean. And then I read I think it's Trader Dale, if I'm not mistaken, the volume profile guy. And I can't remember where I learned VWAP from. I think I always kind of knew about VWAP. I know how they operate. And I think there's one guy I look at on YouTube. I forgot his name though. I think it might be Trader Dale. Not sure. But this guy on Bookmap now, his name is I think is Robert Roth. And he does a lot of Bookmap trading, right? With VWAPs and stuff like that. So I'm trying to incorporate some of his styles now. He scalps a lot more than I do. I don't really like to scalp, so he would like scalp off of VWAP for like about 2-3 points back down here, and that'll be it. So I'm actually looking to take more of a move. Like I get a rejection here of VWAP. Let me just use a different color. Right, so wait, I didn't select it. Right, so I start getting a rejection here. I could actually make this bigger. Right. Right, so I start getting exhaustion here at VWAP. I want to take this down all the way to like second lower deviation, which is that line right there. Right, so that's at 55.54. Right. So that's just how I want to start trading. Well, not start trading. I've always been trying to trade like this, capturing big moves. I was never a scalper, you know. Sometimes it's necessary because you just got to do what you got to do because the big trades aren't working out, you know. So let me just see here. Where is Trader Map Pro? All right, so it's important data. Let's wait a second. Oh, this video is already 53 minutes. Well, oh well, man, oh well. Right, so that's our major liquidity right now. It's at 56.62, right? We have a next one here at 56.08, and we have a supporting liquidity here at 55.24. So let's go back over to the chart here and see where 55.24 is ending up. And look at that. So that's floor pivot S1, right? So 55.25.75. So let's just go back over here. This is long-term liquidity, right? Resting at 55.25 roughly. Just open it up. 55.27, right? So I'm betting that these guys are observing this floor S1 right here as a possible target for the sellers, and that's where they want to buy, right? Now let's look here at 56.09. So let's come back to the chart here, 56.09. And all in this area here, I think it's actually, let me see over here on the 1 hour. right? So the closest thing we have to it is central pivot at 5605.75, right there. And we have value area low at 5605, right? So a couple points above this, within this resistance zone here, right? So if you see this liquidity not getting pushed through on your bullish move, you could expect that we're going to get the short, because now we're in a short zone, right? So let's see what else we have. This guy here is at 56.62. So let's see what we have up there. And this will be on a bigger time frame, so I'm gonna go to the 1 hour. And we're looking for 56.62. Right, so we have no exact number right there, like the S1. This is monthly floor pivot R1 at 56.57. So that'll be the closest in line right there to that liquidity that we were seeing on Bookmap. This heavy liquidity right here, 56.62.25. On the 1 hour chart with my weekly levels, we got Camarillo R4 at 56.52, 10 points before that. Floor pivot R1 monthly 56.57. And then if we do get through that liquidity, we got monthly Camarillo R4 at 56.73.75. Right. Let's see, we got one more. This is a little faint, but it's at 57.25. And if we go over here, this is the weekly value area high at 57.22. Right, so this level here was 57.24. Right, and then we come over here. This is at 57.22.50. Right, so, and it's also previous week's high of 57.21.25 over here. Right, so all of these guys, these big players are actually taking into account these value area highs, these pivots, and these Camarillos. It's just not really said that much. I don't really hear a lot of people trading these Camarillo levels and floor pivots, but these levels were created on the floor. Right, that's why they're called floor pivots. So they were created on the floor when these guys were trading on the floor, and I think these algos still adhere to these levels. These levels didn't just disappear, but I think intraday traders, what I hear they use a lot is EMAs and stuff like that. So I really like the volume aspect of trading, because that tells me exactly where the big players are. So that's why I use VWAPs and stuff like that. And I also use these Camarillo and floor pivots because they give you forward levels to use. So they're not calculating like lagging in real time, like 21 EMAs and 9 EMAs. They're calculating after the price has done what it's done, right? Now these floor pivots and Camarillo pivots have calculated the previous day, and they're displaying the levels that you should look at for the current day. So that's why I like these levels, and I take action around these volume weighted average price deviations, right? So you could kind of see what I'm looking at. So let's just look at an example right here, right? This is a possible Bowling Green strategy reversal right now. And what we're getting is the cores being built, right? Let me just make some adjustments, right? So you're looking at the cores being built. We're getting some absorption. The selling has gone sideways. It's no longer vertical. It's going sideways. We got the pop back up above second lower deviation. And now if we get a breakout here, first upper deviation, we could take a trade back up to VWAP, back up to the central pivot, back up to value area low, Well, the mid has moved, so let me just adjust that. Or back up to the mid, right? But I would try and get back to the volume weighted average price. Now, this is a strategy I'm working on right now where I call it the 360 fire, right? Now, if we have heavy selling, right, like we have in here, on the ETH time frame, this is heavy selling for the ETH, right? If you get a rejection up here like you're getting now, but we didn't actually touch it, right? So I can't really see exhaustion happening at a key level, like the top central or the first lower deviation. But this is an entry short here again because now it's a rejection of the reversal, which is the Bowling Green. So I call it the 360 fire. And why I say that is because it's doing a 180 and another 180. Right? So I call it 360 fire because it's getting burned up here. Right? And that could drop us back down to yesterday's VPOC. Man, I'm giving away all my little secrets, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that's what trading is about, man. Just share your thoughts with people, and you don't have to use my exact thoughts. You could develop your own thoughts and ideas off of what I'm saying. Your mind could click, because that's how my mind clicks. Like when I never copy anybody's strategy. I just look at people, how they're looking at VWAP, how they're looking at Camarillas. Well, I don't really see much people using Camarillas and floor pivots, so that's my own little thing. But looking at traders use VWAP and stuff like that, it helps me incorporate, like I'm getting this strategy out of it right now, the reversal between these two first and lower deviation, and it starts moving sideways almost every time, right? These are buy areas to get back to VWAP. So, and then I started noticing sometimes the reversal doesn't happen. The selling is too strong, and we get that rejection right here, right there at first upper deviation, first lower deviation. Sorry. So let's take a look here. I think it's already past an hour, so whoever's still here, you know what I mean, just big ups to you, man. I respect it because I used to watch these 1 hour videos to get some insight as well. So hopefully somebody is looking at it for the hour. And I can't wait to get to like 1,000 subscribers so I could go live and trade live in front of everybody and just, when I mess up, and it might even give me a little more discipline. Right now I record these trades, but it's still not live, you know what I'm saying? So I think that will give me a little more discipline as well, not to mess up in front of everybody and go astray into, things that are not my strategy. Yeah, so this is taking a little too long. I want to see if this candle is going to come up here. And I do my paper trading on TradingView, so I could have like a little record against what I'm actually trading on Ninja and on Bookmap. So these trades they stay there. You can see these shorts buys. Right, so I know what I was doing and what I was thinking. Sometimes I label them as well. I don't see any labels here so far. Yeah, some of these are labels here. Anyway, let me not stray from the point. Right, so we're looking for this candle here to come back up to this first lower deviation. So let's take a look over here at Bookmap and see what's happening. So this is first lower deviation here on Bookmap. Right, that line right there. So we have some liquidity in front of it. So let's see if we're going to get some exhaustion up there. Let's open this up. Right, so it's more interesting to look at it on Bookmap compared to just the candle chart. So let's see. So it's looking like we have good buying, right? All right, this buying is looking good here. Wait, hold on. All right, nice buying here. Shallow selling pullback, exhaustion of the sellers, right? No sellers on the bid. Nice buying here again. Starting to dry up now on the ask, which is that red line. The bid is the green, current price is the white. All right, so no sellers taking it down yet on the bid. Aggressive buyers coming in on the ask. And I think I could open this a little more. And let's see what we get. And this is exactly how I analyze these levels and I get into trades like this. So what am I looking at now? I'm looking at the exhaustion on the ask. So I'm looking for the short here. And also we have a little accumulation here, right? We broke out, moving sideways. So anything breaking down this level here, we could go short. Go short at 57.25 and have a stop at 59.25. But I would want my short to be above this first lower deviation though. So that's why I'm actually waiting for the rejection to happen around here. So now you see the buyers are taking it up again, right? So we had this consolidation, we moved up, broke out of it, heavy volume. You can see the heavy volume is right there. Right, heavy volume breakout. So this now could be a possible Bowling Green strategy. And remember, I was showing you over here. This is the buildup of the cause, right? So now we're getting up to that level. Heavy buy. And let's see, on the breakout, I could take the trade right here, right? So now taking this trade here on the breakout of first lower deviation. And let's see what's our target. We're trying to get to, I'm trying to get just a VWAP here. So this is VWAP or possibly first upper deviation. But no, I'll take VWAP. All right, so maybe let's see my strategy could work in real time. Actually, I didn't switch over to bookmark, my bad. So this is VWAP right here. See, I'm highlighting it. That's my target. This is my entry right here. The break above first lower deviation. This is exactly how the Bowling Green strategy is, right? So I'm actually getting to demonstrate that. Right, so we have some exhaustion on the buy side, sellers coming in a little bit. And let's see if we have buyers here at first upper deviation again. My stop here is two points away, so my entry was 55.59.75. My stop is at 55.57.73. We have heavy liquidity here. Now overnight low has moved down. So let me just adjust that. All right, so that's overnight low. So that's basically a little bull flag forming right on top of first upper deviation. We also have an iceberg buyer buying here as exactly when I'm getting into the trade, he's buying, right? So now some of the criteria I didn't point out, so let me just do that. So looking for heavy volume, right, on the breakout. Getting up to this first upper deviation, we're looking for heavy volume. We got the heavy volume right there, right? Also looking for iceberg buyers, but we're looking for iceberg buyers within the cause. And let's see if we had any. So this is the cause right here, right? This sideways movement, a little dip down of below first, second lower deviation, right? Ran into heavy liquidity around this area. You can see the heat map is lit up. Got buyers right there. And now we pushed up. We didn't get any iceberg buyers though. We had a couple iceberg sellers. So this is the first iceberg buyer coming in there. Now they could probably take out my stop because it might turn into, let me just show you. It might turn into the 360 fire rejection, right? Because you see what's happening here. We ran into this top central. Remember I was saying about this being a retest for a short. Now with this transaction here, I could easily flip to the short side if I get stopped out. Because I have another counteracting strategy that will allow me to mentally adjust, right? And just flip to the short side. I didn't put the stop loss here, which is at 55, 57, right? So I'm stopped out there and I'm gonna do this real quick. Right? So that's the short. That's the flip side to the trade. That's the 360 fire, right? And what I'm going to do is put my stop, where is it? 55, 59, 55, 58, 75. And let's see, we're going to aim for 55, 53. Which is going to be right here, the first, second lower deviation. And it is possible even with this flipping to get stopped out both ways because, you know, it could be just, you know, people taking profit and then they end up buying up anyway. So it's not foolproof, but seeing the rejection right there, the breakdown of first upper deviation. Now my stop should be above this level here. So what I'm gonna do is just move my stop roughly 1 point up. Because we still want to give it some room. So if it wants to reject up at this level here, then we could get that motion back down. And this could have been a little quicker entry here as soon as we start losing first upper deviation. So my stop could be above this level here, right? So if we could take the short somewhere down here, but this is actually a better entry because this is where the volume is coming in, right? Not much selling volume, but some volume is coming in here and here. So we had a little consolidation right there and then we fell off. So that's where I entered on that breakdown. So now you see we have that little push up right there, exhaustion of the buyers. Nobody's hitting the ass. This one guy here took one contract at 55, 58, 25. This guy took 20, but he didn't get to hit the ask. It wasn't aggressive enough. And these guys are hitting the bid, right? So they're aggressive. Sellers are aggressive, hitting the bid. All right, buyers trying to come back in. All right, this is my break-even point here, 55, 56, 71. And what could cause this kind of trade? Now, this trade, the 365 is a little risky. So it has to be in a really heavy selling environment, which I think we're in, right? Now, this could be an extension of the cores being built between these two levels, between VWAP 1, lower VWAP 1 and lower VWAP 2, right? So building up here and then breaking out. But what could be a good thing for my trade is that we touch second V2, lower V2, and get that that target hit before while they're building out the cores for the reversal long. This got me in a long video now, and it's not looking like the trade is working out anyway. And that's the trick in the game, you know. Your strategy is not going to work every time, so you're going to have to stick with it and persevere, because it's going to work out. But sometimes you're going to get a little frustrated where you get stopped out and stuff like that. But that's just part of trading. All right, it's looking like it's coming up here, but the buying is kind of scanty. It's not really heavy volume, but still, we could still push up and hit my stop. Buyers getting a little more aggressive up into first lower deviation, so it's looking like they're going to stop me out. I think sellers might come back in right here though, but let's see. Yeah, they're not coming in aggressive enough. This is more aggressive. They gotta start hitting the bid. Some bigger bubbles coming down. They have a little vacuum here, no liquidity to really take them on, but buyers are more aggressive. So one more guy hit here, and I'm out. More exhaustion on the ask. And I'm out. Right? So the two strategies have got stopped out. But it's looking like the Bowling Green wants to take it up. You know what I'm saying? So looking at the chart, that's the cores being built. If you want, take that up to VWAP. But this buying here isn't really convincing me right now. I still think we could get a rejection here. But anyway, that's my technical analysis for tomorrow. Trades I'm looking for did some top-down analysis, did some monthly levels, did some weekly levels, did some daily levels for tomorrow. And let's see how it works out tomorrow. Let's see what we're going to get. Now this here is breaking down again. That's why I'm thinking so this is a double rejection here of the first lower deviation, right? All these things I could consider going short again, just another breakdown here. But anyway, I think I'm gonna leave it alone. Alright y'all, so it's Malak Shalomo, and I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Y'all trade safe and stay blessed.